Hi guys! So we're back from boarding the Ambassador Ambience for a 3-night Christmas market cruise. And so Ambassador is a new cruise line to the British market. It kind of fills the gap of CMV. And so we wanted to try it out for you and just tell you what we thought about it.
Yeah, it certainly was a dramatic cruise, but more of that to come up soon.
Yeah, I mean, short cruises can be such a whirlwind. So you know what the deal is, don't you? Let's roll VT!
I know there is a place for us to be, another place where we'll be understood, 'cause that's all I ever wanted, all we'll ever need, a place that makes us happy and free. I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting. I will wait for you until the time has come. I'll be waiting for the moment when our love lights up the sky. I'll be waiting to go there with you, so get ready for the ride. I'll be waiting for the moment when our love lights up the sky. I'll be waiting.
Your cruise. You will remain here overnight, and you are welcome to enjoy dinner and our evening entertainment. But we will need all passengers to have left the ship by 9:30 tomorrow morning. You are
There's not a reason why you should be afraid. I'll promise I'll be there when you need me to, 'cause that's all I ever wanted, all we'll ever need, a place that makes us happy and free. I'll be waiting. I will wait for you until the time has come. I'll be waiting for the moment when our love lights up the sky. I'll be waiting to go there with you, so get ready for the ride. I'll be waiting for the moment when our love lights up the sky. I'll be waiting.
Like everything on this ship, aircon is broken, hairdryer is broken, ship is broken, ship is broken. Wow, that certainly was a dramatic dinner announcement. Justin, do you want to tell them all a little bit more about what happened?
Okay, so everyone boarded. We did have a problem to start with because our key card didn't exist. So we had to wait. We had to go to the reception, try and see whether we could get a key card.
Yeah, there were a lot of issues with people with cards that didn't work or people that just didn't have a card like we did. So that was definitely an early issue, and there were probably some signs that there was something a bit more wrong just at the start there.
Yeah, so we went through, went to the buffet, settled into our cabin. I actually unpacked. So I was
You
there.
unpacked for a 3-night cruise.
I do. I have to have it all nice and neat. I even found the self-service laundry,
You did.
and I went and ironed a shirt for the night. we got all nicely dressed up. We went to dinner. We went with some other vloggers, so Lizzie from Travels with Lizzie Lou, and also Emma Cruises and Jono as well. So it was a nice, ambience in the restaurant, all nice and Christmassy. The first that we got, and I sort of triggered that there was something going on, was an email that I got to say, this cruise is going to be cancelled.
Yeah, so we got one from the PR company that said that we'd reached out to before we cruised just to say that we were coming on board and would it be okay to film. And they reached out to say that the cruise was going to be cancelled. Initially, I thought Justin was joking. I think we all did around the table. And maybe it was, but maybe we couldn't sail to Bruges and he got it wrong and we'd have to go somewhere else or just go out to sea maybe. And then the captain's announcement happened. And kind of the restaurant was kind of a stunned gasp in silence and laughing. I'm not sure why. Everyone just kind of laughed. I don't know why. It's just...
Yeah, I thought more people would be really angry and they weren't. They were just like quite calm. I think it was just the disbelief of we're actually physically on board and your cruise has been cancelled and you just can't take it all in.
I mean, have you ever been literally on board your cruise ship, having unpacked and had it cancelled? It's certainly... an experience.
It was definitely an experience.
And then they said that you could stay on board for the rest of the evening, enjoy the hospitality, which was lovely.
Yeah,
actually.
it was good.
So they weren't literally kicking you off there and then in the middle of dinner, which would have been a real sort of nasty thing to do.
Yeah.
So we finished our dinner, which was quite nice. We'll come on to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, and then we went to the theatre. We had
a few drinks.
Non-alcoholic mocktails for me. At that point, in
the observatory, and it was actually fun. And I think the thing was because people knew this cruise wasn't going ahead, and that it was like a tongue in cheek, wasn't it?
It was very tongue in cheek.
It was very funny. We will. But the reason why it had to be cancelled was there was annual inspection that was done, and apparently one of the lifeboat stations was damaged.
There was something wrong with the lifeboats. It couldn't be fixed and then recertified in time for the cruise to happen. However, since then, we've actually had a further announcement from Ambassador saying that the following cruise is actually going to be cancelled as well, which was a longer sort of 15-night cruise to the Canary Islands.
Over Christmas,
which is a real bummer. Christmas and New Year now, people are having to deal with that one, so a lot worse than us, certainly.
Yeah.
But that's also because the ship actually has to go into dry dock, so I have a feeling there's something a bit more wrong there, or something that's a bit worse there. But yeah, we really feel for the crew, and we do hope that they have the best over the Christmas period, and that hopefully the ship is back sailing really soon.
But we did get a chance to have a look around, and we did a bit of a whirlwind sort of film. So we wanted to tell you a little bit about our experience of our 6 hours on board.
Our 6 hours on board the cruise ship. So here we go.
Let's get into it. The ship. So the ship,
it's certainly a smaller ship. It was built in the 80s, so you've got to give it a little bit of leeway for. The layout is a bit more higgledy-piggledy. We'll use one of our favourite words there. But it is actually generally being quite nicely refurbished fairly recently.
Yeah.
So it did have some TLC. Initially, we gave that refurbishment kind of kudos to Ambassador. We have since learnt that it might have been like that since P&O refurbished it in P&O Australia.
Yeah, so the ship used to be owned, as Tristan said, by P&O Australia. It used to be the Pacific Dawn, and before that, it was the old Regal Princess.
It was the original Regal Princess.
It was. So, but I think they've done quite a good job, and it does look like they've really looked after the ship.
Yeah, she's certainly been a princess that's been around the block a few times.
Yeah, that's true. So the Ambience has a total max capacity of passengers of 1,400, 650 crew. It's got 11 bars and lounges, so plenty of places, and they're all quite unique, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're really tastefully done. Very kind of British inspired and feeling to them certain names, certainly.
Yeah.
Although Raffles, I suppose, is a Singaporean bar, but, kind of a traditional
English sort of throwback, I suppose. Yeah.
But really nice. Lots of seating that we could find. Very busy. The ship was busy when we were on board. But lots of seating. Certainly the pool decks as well look really quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
Not the biggest of pools, so if you do like a swim, probably not the best ship for you. But lots of splash kind of pool area. That big splash pool, the purple one at the back, looked really nice. Quite a few hot tubs as well to use. So really good facilities. And the sun lounges actually I was really impressed. They looked very comfortable.
The sound lounge is
It was pouring with rain, so I wasn't going to sit on one.
really comfortable, like big cushy cushions.
Yeah, much more.
It's good.
Much more like you'd expect to see in kind of like more like the suites area of a normal cruise ship. So kind of that sort of area, but really lovely,
nice.
Nicely decorated throughout. All the public areas have really tastefully been updated. It was really comfy. I mean,
furniture was good. The furniture was really lovely.
Well, you certainly liked some of the furniture, didn't you? Yeah.
The cabin.
So, in a Cruise Boys first, we went with an outside cabin. There is a reason for that.
Yeah.
All the insides are gone, and we weren't going to pay for a balcony because, being an older ship, there are not many balconies. So, obviously, like a lot of those, the uplift to a balcony is quite a lot more than, say, on one of the more modern built ships, which have hundreds of balconies.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised, actually. The cabin was pretty large, spacious room. Being a princess ship, it does have some hallmarks of that.
Yeah, like the walk-in wardrobe.
When you walk in, princess ships always have that really big walk-in wardrobe, which is lovely. The bathroom itself, yes, it is dated, but it's a ship built in the 80s. What are you going to expect?
Yep.
We were lucky enough to be greeted with some very nice amenities in our room, with a bottle of bubbles and also some canapes. Sadly, the canapes were all fish based and crustaceans, which I'm allergic to.
And I don't eat seafood.
It was a bit limiting for us, so we didn't really have the canapes. We just didn't really have time to eat them.
Yeah.
But really nice cabin. I do still have that feeling with an outside cabin. I miss being able to open the window, if that makes sense. Like with a balcony, obviously you can open the door and get some fresh air in. The ship was very warm.
Very warm, yeah.
The aircon didn't work in our cabin at all. It was stuck on kind of like blowing very hot air, so it was warm in our cabin. And that is a complaint we've heard from a lot of people recently on board. Yeah. Is that the cabins are either really hot or really cold. We even had reports of people that have on recent cruises that actually did sail. Of actually where they've had to have in the balcony ones, they've actually opened the balcony door just to get some air circulation, fresh air and cooler air in because it's that hot. So I am slightly pleased. The bed though in itself I think was relatively comfy. Lizzie, you didn't break the bed, but if you jump on my bed again, I'm not going to be impressed. That was a little bit extreme. She was testing our beds, apparently.
It was good because when we walked in, it was a twin configuration, which is fine. And we just asked our room steward if he could push them together and make a double bed. Not an issue at all. And there was still plenty of space in the cabin. It was really good.
Actually, speaking of that, our room steward was absolutely lovely. Really approachable, really friendly. Can you remember his name? It was like Nene.
Nene, yeah.
He was like, he had a really formal version of his name, but he introduced himself as, and I said, what was your name, sorry?
Yeah.
And he said, just call me Nene, everyone does. I was like, that's really nice. Very friendly, very approachable. Couldn't do enough to help, really.
Had to keep letting us in our room because we didn't have a car. So
I was like, I'm sorry, we're back again. Can you let us in our cabin?
So we've got a cabin tour coming up soon, so watch out for that as well. The food.
Being Cruise Boys, of course, no matter how short a period of time we have on a cruise ship, we are going to be trying as much of the food as we can. And in this case, we managed to do the buffet and the main dining room. So the buffet, I think, it's a small buffet, but then it's a small ship. We had no real issue in finding a table. The food offering looked pretty actually comparable to any other mainline cruise line, really. Not necessarily particularly high end. They were serving you, which actually I personally prefer.
I personally agree. Yeah,
and I get that's probably as well because they're more of a budget cruise line. They're controlling portions as well, but I just don't like the idea of people, the 1,000 people having touched the tongs.
Yeah, exactly. What I do like about it was the buffet area was really nice, wasn't it? It was very posh, wasn't it?
It was. It felt much more like a kind of. They've gone very much for the vibe of like the kind of marketplace kind of what's very in at the moment to do with it's not a buffet but it's a buffet kind of feel. With lots of different cooking stations and things. And it was really nice. Good drinks, good access to the outer decks as well from there. So if it was not pouring with a friend like it was for us, you could have gone out and enjoyed probably having
an
lunch or breakfast.
Yes. We also got the opportunity, of course, from our dinner, and we would have seen how it got interrupted, but we did have the chance to go into the main dining room, and I love the main dining room there. More traditional,
Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by the food actually in there. On budget cruise lines, I always kind of go with a bit of pessimism of it's probably not going to be the best, but actually I had a really nice sort of pork medallions as my main.
Yeah.
And the starter, I had like a goat's cheese and let's say tomato.
No.
Goat cheese and onion tart, which was really nice actually.
And I had the potato and leek, and it was actually quite nice.
The only
Potato
thing
and
that
leek soup. Sorry.
wasn't maybe the best was the dessert for us.
I agree.
I had a creme caramel, and mine tasted more like curdled eggs, which wasn't great.
And I
sent
had
most of it back.
I had the
actually.
vegan option of that, and no, soy milk just doesn't belong in creme caramel.
Definitely not. No cream. But I did also have the cheese board. I was being a bit cheeky because don't forget, if you want to, you can order additional dishes
Yep.
if you want. And actually, the cheese board was quite nice. It was certainly better than some of the cruise lines that I've had them on.
I thought it was a bit small portions, but do you think that was enough? Or
I think it was a smaller
nice?
portion, but again, I certainly didn't walk away hungry,
Yeah.
particularly. And you can go to the buffet for midnight munchies if you want on board.
Exactly.
So we didn't. We were back in the car,
back in the
and
car.
driving home. But you could have done it if you were on board for longer.
Yeah. Specialty restaurants. So, apart from the chef's or captain's table as well, there's only 2 other specialty restaurants. So, one is called Saffron, which is an Indian-inspired.
It's an Indian fusion restaurant. It's actually a section of the buffet that they take over, obviously, during dinner time. It is closed off, it does say it,
Yeah.
but during the daytime you can use it to sit and have your meal. But obviously at night time it becomes the restaurant.
Looked nice, though.
Yeah, it did look quite nice, actually.
And the other one was the Sea and Grass, and that's like a fixed menu. I think it's like premium steaks and a bit of seafood in there as well.
Yeah, that looked really nice. It sounded really
Very,
nice.
very
actually.
intimate, and it was a very nice space, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very intimate restaurant. It is quite a small restaurant, so I think you would have to book quite early on it.
Yeah.
We did plan to go there, obviously, never mind.
So we can't tell you what it's
We
like.
can't tell you, but maybe someday we'll
Yeah.
go back on board and we can try it.
The bars and lounges.
Now, being a British cruise line or catering for the British markets, of course, there are plenty of bars and places to get libations.
Yeah.
There are 11 bars on such a small ship. That's quite a high number.
It was, and we got to visit a few of them. We sort of passed some, but we did actually sit in some and have a diet Coke or two.
Yeah, actually, one of the nicest ones is the Botanicals, which is actually a gin bar, which I love my gin, so I would have loved to have been a bit more on the ship and tried that one, actually. And you've got Raffles, which I have been to the original Raffles, and actually, this wasn't a bad replica attempt at it, so it's certainly, I've seen worse attempts at it. There is also, and it makes me snigger every time I say it, the Purple Turtle.
And the Purple Turtle used to be the casino on the Pacific Dawn, so they've taken the casino out. There's a smaller casino now. It's tiny. It's only got like 5 slot machines and 2 tables, and that's it. But the Purple Turtle is a massive area, and yeah, it was it was a nice bar.
Sorry, the Purple Turtle on the Purple Porpoise.
On the Purple Porpoise, yeah.
I have nicknamed the ship. The Purple Porpoise. Sorry, it looks like the Pacific Dawn is well known for being called a bit like the porpoise because of its bulbous bar at the top of the observatory, which we'll come to in a minute. But and because I've painted the ship a lot of purple, obviously. It's the Purple Porpoise. So the Purple Turtle and the Purple Porpoise just rolls off my tongue. I'm sorry.
It's just so funny.
I'm so sorry, guys.
But as Tristan was saying, we actually went up to the observatory. So after the show, we went up to the observatory and had some mocktails because we were driving. Well, Tristan was driving home. I have to obviously be co-pilot, so I had to be sober.
Lovely bar, though. Absolutely fantastic.
The atmosphere was just amazing. It's like this old worldy atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it's
totally
really nice.
transformed from what it used to look like when it was a kind of more of a nightclub in P&O Australia. But actually, really lovely, beautifully decked out.
Yeah, decked out.
Just really nice. And I can actually imagine on a nice summer's evening, even sitting up there watching a sail out of port and stuff with all the windows around being absolutely stunning.
It was a really, really beautiful bar. And the thing that made it funny for us though is that because everyone was sort of, had gotten over the original shock, then they decided to have a bit of fun because they were going to stay on board the ship, and these 2 women were asking the live band to play all these songs. So we had one from Rod Stewart, which is We Are Sailing, and we all joined in and started singing We Aren't Sailing.
We are not sailing.
Say, yes. That's right.
We aren't sailing. Because we were not sailing.
We were.
And then we also had Enya, Sail Away, Sail Away.
Yeah, which we weren't sailing away to either.
It was all the sailing hits were being sung that night, which did make it very fun. And yeah, I think as well just showed that no one was taking it out against the crew.
The cruise line,
it's not their
nothing.
fault. It's just... We're just having a bit of a joke.
I just think the ship, it was funny. It was just,
what else
so
can you
funny.
do at this point apart from enjoy your evening and then disembark and
enjoy it. So, and that's what we did. And yeah, we left early, but I'll tell you what, we had a good night, didn't we? Entertainment.
He keeps doing it. I can't stop him.
I know. It's just, you gotta live with it. Sorry, Tristan.
Now, the entertainment, I have to say, for what we saw a musicals evening. Fairly standard cruise fare, but actually really well done.
Yeah.
The cast were fantastic. The fact that obviously I think there must have been a lot of fear that people could have come out on stage and people could have been really angry about the fact the cruise has been cancelled and booing, or just not turned up at all and had an empty theatre. The theatre was actually quite busy, certainly on the lower level.
It was.
There were still lots of seats around. You wouldn't have struggled, but it was actually quite busy and. It was really good.
The entertainment crew, they could sing. I'm sorry, but I've been on cruise ships and, the singing's been okay, but it's been...
You're talking about MSC there, aren't you?
Shh. Yeah. A bit substandard sometimes, but no, they could sing, couldn't they? They could really, really sing. Yeah.
But yeah, there were a few issues that we had, and I really do have to pick them up for this.
Yeah.
Now, you can come on to the one with the people in a second, but one of the things I really, really had an issue, and actually the cruise line, if you're listening, please pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Stop service during the theatre show.
Yeah.
I've never been to a theatre where you continue to have drinks waiters going around taking people's orders, delivering drinks to them in the middle of the show. And what I think is just really rude was we had this really moving moment, the singing from Les Mis, and the guy's absolutely on the edge of the stage, and he sat down on the edge of the stage, and the waiter walked smack in front of him to deliver people's drinks.
With a Christmas hat. It was quite comical, sorry, but I actually thought he was going to get a beer and give it to the performer. But you're watching, and unfortunately we just saw Santi giving someone a drink in front of us, but the most annoying thing
I just think let's finish that one off before you go into the other one. It was really wrong as well. But I just think that's really rude and disrespectful of the
entertainment crew. Yeah,
like as a crew, you should stop service. I'm sorry, people can wait half an hour for a drink. You don't need to be. Great that you can bring a drink into the auditorium, which is fantastic. Not all cruise lines will let you do that. But yeah, I mean, come on.
And what really was. I mean, it was 35 minutes. That's all it was. And I was like, can you not either go up and get a drink before you come in, or can you not live without a drink for 35 minutes? The thing that really, really annoyed me, and I haven't seen this on a cruise line before, is people just sitting in front of us going like this with their cards. So instead of being
order a drink,
to order a drink, and then they were like flipping around. So I'm trying to watch a program with about 3 or 4.
It was as annoying as this looks.
It was really annoying, and I really, really just thought that was really rude. And then there was people just constantly chatting, and I'm like, if you don't want to sit here and watch this, or if you want to chat, go outside.
There's loads of bars. Just sit in one of those,
it was really, but the actual entertainment and the theatre, beautiful.
I think the theatre actual layout was great. The stage comes out into the theatre quite a way, so the performers will come out and actually almost stand within the audience. Really nice, big, comfy seats that you only get on really old cruise ships. Yeah. Modern cruise ships, their theatres are quite uncomfortable, I find.
Yeah, I do.
Certainly being a more fluffy cruiser, having a large comfy bench seat with a table and armrest to sit on was much preferred to the narrow seats that you get in some of these where they've really packed in the numbers to try and get them in. This was a lovely, spacious auditorium, beautifully decorated.
Yeah, very beautifully decorated. It felt like some of the London theatres that we'd been in, very London Palladium-esque, so it was really good.
Slight niggles on the technology, but I won't go into that. That's just because that's my job, and I just But I will not pull them 100% up on that. But I did I think annoy Justin and Lizzie next to me by pointing out things like that's got an issue. They need to fix that. That's not quite right. So sorry, but all in all, fantastic entertainment.
So the rest of the entertainment in the ship, in the bars, I had some live singing, and it was really festive. It was a really, really good atmosphere. I felt really, really sort of happy and stuff like that.
Very lively ship, but yet you could still find quiet areas to sit as well. We did notice, we walked into the Purple Turtle, and they had a quiz going on, and they had bingo planned and stuff during the cruise. So all the usual cruise activities were going to be taking place.
Yeah.
So lots of things like that. They also do a big thing to do with bridge on board, and they have this whole bridge club that you can go into. And do, as well as arts and crafts. It used to be they used to be the 2 kids clubs. So it's kind of weird they turned it into a bridge and things, but
yeah. Drinks and drinks packages.
So it is a little bit more complicated than some. There are kind of
Yeah.
3 grades, if you like. On our cruise, we went with the kind of entry one, which was gratuities and soft drinks.
Yep.
It was £79 total each per person for the 3-day cruise.
Yep.
And if you wanted the alcohol drinks,
Yep.
it was 129.
9, that's correct, yep.
For the 3 days each. If you go on a typical kind of longer 7-day or longer cruise or 2-week cruise, it works out about £30 a day for the drinks package for the alcohol one,
and 16, I think, for the soda. Yeah.
For just the soda package. So not bad pricing actually, all in if you want to. And they often, I've noticed, do deals where you can include the drinks package in the price anyway that they're charging, which, given the prices they charge for some of these cruises,
is nothing.
Crazy that you get anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
They kind of beat Costa on price. So
Yeah, it was cheap. And the thing is that with the drinks prices themselves anyway, they were quite cheap. I mean, you could get cocktails for, now this is in pounds, £5.50. Which is about $7 US, but it was actually quite cheap just for the drinks.
A beer, I noticed bottled beer was about £3, which is actually really cheap for a cruise.
that is cheap.
Yeah, certainly they weren't making a big markup like some cruise lines do.
And they had a big selection, so you'll see. We just show you here all the big selection of drinks. If you want to see what the prices are or what they are, just pause. But yeah, it was just. It was fairly good value, really, for the drinks. It
certainly represents quite good value in our opinion, too.
So, the summary.
For 6 hours that we were on board.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I think we did get a bit of a taste about the ship.
We certainly got a good taste of it.
Yeah. And so, what would you say?
I was quite surprised, actually.
I was
pleasantly surprised by it. I went in with really low expectations. It is a budget cruise line. I think there's no ways around it, and there are signs of they are still clearly doing some of the upgrade works to the ship. Some of the carpets are still the old carpet. The cabins, you still got kind of the older lights and light switches and things. So, but that's what you've got to expect from a cruise ship that's 30 odd, nearly 40 years old. So.
But I think it was clean. It was. I mean, I was surprised at how good the upkeep of that ship was. It was actually really, really nice.
Yeah, lovely staff. Couldn't fault them. We had seen reviews where they'd said the staff were really rude. We personally did not encounter a single rude member of staff. We encountered some rude passengers.
Passengers, yeah.
But yeah, and I would say demographic on board, probably the older demographic. There's certainly they do these multi-generational cruises.
Which is kids and
where they allow families. They don't often allow families and kids onto the cruises. Hence why Josh was not with us on this one either. So they see it clearly aiming for that more adult market.
Not
upmarket. They're going for the budget market. So.
And it might change. I mean, it depends on feedback, and it depends on how big the fleet and how popular the fleet is as well. But I mean, for kids, there's still pools, and when they have the multi-generational session, and I'm sure they'll do things for kids clubs as well. Yeah.
I think, as a ship though, I think it's certainly a smaller ship. It's.
I know, it's nice. It's just a reminiscence of some older, more traditional cruise lines as well, I think. So, cabins, as I said, need a little bit of updating, but they were quite comfortable. As we said, it was a bit of a throwback to some of the Princess cabins. But yeah, I think it was a really nice. And do you think we'd go back?
Potentially, I think a lot of people have said they are kind of taking the place of CMV, the traditional CMV in the UK, and I would probably agree with that. I think they're kind of fitting into that area of the market. They're more budget, and lots of the cruises they do are short Christmas time, New Year cruises, which they're kind of focusing on initially. There are some much longer cruises they do, which is like CMV used to do around the world ones, and sort of 40 odd day ones to Iceland and over to Americas. So they've certainly got some grand plans.
The ideas are there as well. I think it's really good. The ideas are really, really there. But
I'd certainly be open to. I don't think I'd rush back.
No.
But I'm certainly open to exploring the opportunity again to go back on board and really experience a bit more actually than 6 hours you can get in that time. We did experience a lot in that time, but
we did.
I would like to maybe see a little bit more. Maybe actually
sleep on the ship would be nice too. So, and the last thing I needed to do, because as we said at the start, we didn't have a cruise card, and so I made it my mission to get this before I got off, and it's just to prove that in the 6 hours that's actually on the ship. So
Because, as we all know, if you don't have the cruise card, did the cruise really happen?
no. I never used it in the door though, so or for a drink. So I don't know. It's just a remembrance keepsake of the cruise that never happened. So. So we've got plenty more content if you want to check it out on our channel, and they involve cruise reviews, cruise tours, cabin tours.
We've got loads of content planned coming up in the near future. We've got even updated packing guides coming up. We've got more vlogs coming from our MSC Seaside, Seaview series.
Seaview. That's
Seaside
another one that we
Seaview.
didn't get on either.
So yeah, that's coming up. We've also got loads of cruise coming up next year, and we will be sharing more information about those soon.
So just remember, if you do like our content, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, comment, give us, we love getting comments, and also ring the bell for notifications.
Have you cruised with Ambassador
Ambassador before?
Because if you have, please let us know, and let us know what you thought. Is it worth us going back on board? Let us know. See you all soon.
Bye guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, like, comment and share.